Okay, now this is a follow-up video to the Alexander Povetkin drug testing scandal, which was reported yesterday by Dan Raphael of ESPN. While this was being reported, the YTBC pretty much erupted, it exploded, but not into the nature as it did with the controversy surrounding Floyd Mayweather with his IV scandal. But obviously that's a totally irrelevant argument. Well, not quite irrelevant, but Floyd was brought into the conversation by another YouTube uploader, which I'll get to later in the video. But during that uproar, a few other channels who criticized people like Deontay Wilder, for example, who thought he was going to vacate his title, he wasn't going to fight for Povetkin, he wasn't going to go to Russia, which apparently Wilder didn't vacate his title. He is going to Russia and fight this man and defend it in his backyard. Never gave Wilder credit for it. They were silenced for a while until they kind of resurfaced and said, well, you guys need to hold your horses. Povetkin took the drug Meldonium right before it got banned, which made it legal for him to take it, which was 2015. Now, WADA, the World Anti-Doping Agency, had came out and confirmed that the drug Meldonium was on their ban list effective January 1st of this year. Okay, fine. So if Povetkin did take it, and if there were traces left, according to Andrei Rybonsky, Povetkin's promoter, then that should, the drug tests coming up positive should be somewhat unwarranted. Okay, fine. But here's a problem with this here. When Rybonsky said that traces of extreme low concentration of Meldonium, which is less than a milligram, I believe, which is 70 milligrams, it was found in his blood. So that should be irrelevant. But here's another problem. The problem is that the Meldonium drug test was found in his urine, Povetkin's urine. How does that make any sense? But needless to say, Rybonsky is arguing that Povetkin, who last took the drug, which was back in 2015 in his fight against Marius Wack, was perfectly legal. Rightfully so, it was perfectly legal. And he's claiming once again that Povetkin never took the drug before it got banned, or after he never took the drug after it got banned. Well, Dan Raphael will disagree with that notion and he will debunk it. Now, as you see right before your eyes, this is what his latest report says after Rybonsky's comment. It says here, quote, while the fight between heavyweight title holder Deontay Wilder and mandatory challenger Alexander Povetkin hangs in the balance after Povetkin's positive test result for the banned substance Meldonium, the assertion from Povetkin's promoter that it was in his system only because he took it late last year before it was banned appears untrue. Now, after ESPN first reported on Friday that Povetkin tested positive for the drug in April 27th, urine test conducted by WADA in Chekhov, Russia, promoter Andrei Rybonsky of the World Boxing Promotions had said to the Russian tabloids TASS news agency that traces of, quote, traces of extremely low concentration of Meldonium was found in his blood, which I just said, initially said that that's kind of odd, given the fact this was a urine test. He consumed it in September of last year. He has not taken it since January 1st. The situation is ambiguous. The blood sample was taken in April of this year. Well, it wasn't a blood sample. It was a urine sample. The situation, again, we have been in contact with the World Boxing Council, the WBC, which is to decide if Povetkin's boxing bout against Deontay Wilder will take place or not. So, however, ESPN.com has obtained two separate written reports sent by WADA's president, Dr. Margaret Goodman, to both camps as well as the WBC, whose title Wilder holds, notifying them that Povetkin was negative for any but banned substance, and WADA conducted testings on April 7th, April 8th, and April 11th. Again, Povetkin tested negative for any banned substance whatsoever on April 7th, April 11th, and April 8th. So, with that said, Povetkin, who has yet to ask for a B sample to be tested, apparently used Meldonium between April 11th and his positive test result on April 27th. The letter Goodman sent disclosing the negative results on April 7th and April 8th was sent on April 21st. The letter confirming the negative results on April 11th was sent on April 30th. Wow. Now, to those out there who's trying to give Povetkin the benefit of the doubt, I would like to try to see you spin this one. And I know some are going to say, well, Dan Raphael's lying. He has no evidence of that. Well, I have to say that Dan Raphael has been reporting boxing for a very, very long time. And he would not be putting out information like this unless his sources are very solid. So, for those who said that Povetkin should be given the benefit of the doubt, he should be granted TUE to make this fight go forward. I don't know about that, because first things first, this is not USADA. This is WADA you're dealing with here. And to be granted a TUE, that would take extreme measures to be granted that type of exemption. Okay? Now, if this was, let's say the shoe was on the other foot. If this was Deontay Wilder, or if this was Andre Ward, or if this was Terrence Crawford, most of you guys would be slandering them. You would be coming out with an onslaught of videos damning them for testing positive on drug tests, and rightfully so. They shouldn't be using banned substance so they can get a competitive advantage. Okay. Now, what I'm saying is this: if you guys were to condemn them, if they were, just hypothetically, you would have condemned them if they got caught for Meldonium. You can't turn a blind eye and not give a fighter like Alexander Povetkin the benefit of the doubt here just because of spite. Okay? So, another uploader brought up Floyd Mayweather, and I'm not going to name who he is. He said that, well, Floyd Mayweather should get credit because he's the one who advocated for strict Olympic-style drug testing. Well, I have to laugh at that notion because, first of all, Floyd Mayweather, even though he had tried to single out other fighters for being dirty or, not being clean whatsoever, well, it was he who refused to undergo that same drug testing, Olympic-style drug testing, or WADA by that matter, when he implemented it. He refused to undergo it, so he decided to use WADA, who relentlessly gave him TUE exemptions left and right like they were Halloween candy. Sorry, I had to borrow that quote from Victor Conte. But other than that, when his IV situation came about, the IV scandal came about, some of you guys were trying to defend USADA like it was no tomorrow, like they were the gold standard of drug testing when because Floyd said it. And you guys were trashing WADA. But now all of a sudden, when WADA's catching people from left and right, you guys want to praise them. So, again, it goes back to my point. You have to have a fair and balanced consistency when it comes to criticizing other fighters for failing drug tests. You cannot turn the blind eye and give one fighter the benefit of the doubt, okay, because he's your favorite fighter. You can't do that, okay? Now, since Floyd was brought up, rumor has it that he may be coming back for his 50th fight against, Conor McGregor. I don't know how much true that is. Or the rumor was also Danny Garcia. Now, we all know that Danny Garcia holds the WBC title of the welterweight division. And if I were Danny Garcia, I know this would be a big payday for you. But if you really want that Floyd Mayweather fight, I would implement one procedural clause here. Since I hold the WBC strap, and the WBC has mandated that every championship fight must undergo WADA drug testing, then I would say WADA drug testing or nothing at all. So don't come in here and try to say that I would give you more money if you allow me to use USADA. Hell no. Fuck that. Excuse my language. WADA drug testing or nothing. Okay? Even if it's not a title fight, I would say forget that. Either you use WADA or we don't have a fight. Plain and simple. Okay? So, with that said, there's no way you can make this stuff up, y'all. Povetkin had tested negative 3 times before he tested positive for Meldonium. So, what does that mean for this fight? And I want to comment on that real quickly before I end this video. I honestly believe this fight should go forward. And hear me out, y'all. Hear me out. Y'all, some of you are going to say I'm crazy for making that suggestion. And here's why. Deontay Wilder needs a significant win on his resume, okay? He needs to go in this fight and beat Povetkin to prove all the naysayers wrong, Okay, because if he does pack up and decides to go home, I'm not sure if that's up to him and not take the fight. I know some people are going to attack him for not taking this fight. Okay? But at the same time, you should understand where he's coming from, because you don't know, Povetkin can have something else in the system, as a way to get into competitive advantage. But I also want to debunk this notion that whoever is on PEDs would be guaranteed a victor in a competitive playing field, such as a boxing, prize-fighting boxing fight, okay? That notion is not clearly true, and I'm going to give you a couple examples. Marius Wach, when he fought Vladimir Klitschko, he clearly got dominated in that fight, okay? And it was later discovered that he tested positive for anabolic steroids, which he openly admitted to, okay? So even though he had a competitive advantage to a degree, when he was undefeated, he got dominated and lost to Vladimir Klitschko. And this fight was back in, 2011, I believe, 5 years ago, or 2012, 4 years ago. So that's number one. Number two, Oscar De La Hoya versus Fernando Vargas, the fight that took place back in 2002. Now, most of us were questioning Fernando Vargas' physique, okay? Fernando Vargas went into that fight, was ripped than we've ever seen him before, very muscular. He was much stronger and bigger than De La Hoya. Some observers felt that De La Hoya didn't have the power or the skill set to beat Vargas, because given the fact that Vargas was coming in into fantastic shape. And what did De La Hoya do? He broke down the bigger man, knocked him out, or pretty much stopped him, and clearly destroyed Vargas in that fight. And then we find out later that Vargas tested positive for anabolic steroids. So with that said, steroids or not, I think Wilder could beat Povetkin. So I'm going to post a link to the articles below. Let me know what you think. Care to comment, share, subscribe. Signing off. Peace.